because I kind of do want to talk about that. That was a guy that just recently got predicted to Notre Dame, I believe by Wilfong and Singer at this point. He's receiver from Brophy Prep, the home of Cree Thomas, Ben Morrison. So you've got that connection already if you're Notre Dame. But how do we feel about this? Do we feel like he's pretty much already decided? I know that we all feel pretty good about him going to Notre Dame. I know Stanford and Clemson are other two teams. I know he canceled his UNC visit today. How do we feel?
I'm bricked up. I mean, it's. Y'all know. I told y'all, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan and a Notre Dame fan. So the best Arizona Cardinals player of all time, his son going to Notre Dame is like, who would have thought? Felt like something that was never happening. So he's going to be if he commits to Notre Dame and goes to Notre Dame, as we think he will, he's going to be an instant threat. I mean, he's going to probably, within his first or second year, start outside. I don't see him as a slot guy. He'll definitely be like his father late in his career went into the slot, right?
Yeah.
But I see him as more of like that outside hands threat, kind of like a Claypool vibe. So I think that he is going to make an immediate impact for us. And I'm hoping every time I see it, I keep showing my wife, I'm like, Larry Fitzgerald's kid. We just moved to Arizona, so I feel like, you got to have some type of maybe he knows we moved there and we're Notre Dame fans, so that's why he's committing. I don't know. But.
Yeah. I do think, and I agree with your take on him. I do think he's going to be a good receiver at the college level. My other thing with him and his recruitment is because recently it's kind of blown up within the last, I feel like, month maybe with Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame was an offer that he was waiting on for quite a while, right? But I always wondered with him, and because I didn't really turn on his tape too much, but every time there's a legacy kid, especially an NFL legacy of a guy that's, and especially an NFL Hall of Famer, there are times where those kids aren't as good as their father, right? And some of them, they're lowly rated or they're higher rated because of the last name. I don't think that with Devin Fitzgerald. I watched his tape and I was like confused almost why Notre Dame didn't offer him, especially with the NFLU, that thing that's been starting with Freeman here. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely like this kid and his fundamentals. I love how the point of attack, on the catch point. The kid's got great catch radius and great hands. I believe there's a play earlier on in this tape where he just flat out mossed a guy. Like, I don't really remember too many times where Fitzgerald was mossing. It's just more he was just cutting, putting people in a blender. But yeah, Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Fitzgerald, his big thing is he just canceled his visit to UNC, so he took one unofficial visit, if I'm correct here, after he got offered.
Yep.
And to cancel a visit like that, you would think that they'd be out of the running. Like, it would be a very odd to cancel the visit of a school that you want to go to. So after just taking one unofficial visit, so I think that we could say that we're definitely in. Is he still visiting Clemson before his commitment date?
I
don't know.
I don't think so.
He already did. He already did. Yeah.
And I think his commitment date is it was never planned to be this early, right?
Yeah, but he's doing one big thing about him canceling to UNC and taking UNC out of the race is that they have a coach who's going to be able to be like, hey, you want to go to the pros, which of course he wants to. He's Larry Fitzgerald's kid. Fitz has got to tell him, hey, like, you can be a pro player. Like, if you hear it from Larry Fitzgerald, you're going to take that like solid gold, and you're going to run with it.
Yeah.
So him canceling that visit's pretty big. It's down to us, Stanford or Clemson, realistically. So I could see, and like I said, I think if we get Fitzgerald, I think we get we get Kaydon, and then we are pretty clear there. Because once you get one kid, usually the other comes, and it sounds like that's kind of what's happening here. They have a good connection. I've heard a lot about how on the visits they made the wide receivers all linked up, and they were all pretty good together. So, and then of course, he's a dog. Like, just looking at those highlights we showed.
I think that, like something to think about too is I do feel like, in a sense, that mannerisms or in terms of how you hold yourself, Freeman and Fitzgerald are similar in a sense. They can be, when it's time for a football game to come on, they're ready and it's time. But like outside of football, they're more of a relaxed, laid back type vibe. So
Yeah.
I think that could be something too with the Freeman aspect. But I mean, you talk about Fitzgerald. I mean, he had more tackles in his career than he had drops. And you don't think that his son is training like his dad?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he's not going to drop the ball often. So, I mean, he could be somebody that I think that he will be. I mean, by then we'll have like a great house drafted or something, but he's got the potential to be like a first to third round pick at
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
100%. So next up, let's talk about Kaydon Finley. Our by far and away the biggest receiver on the board. Probably the biggest what do you call it? Offensive target in the class, just because of the positional need and everything like that. Um, how we feel? Well, I mean, for me, I've said this multiple times. Just the vibe I get, I think Kaydon wants to be at Notre Dame, but I think the pull from his dad being a Texas legacy and the fact that Texas gets his final OV this weekend, it makes me very worried about this recruitment. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not confident in this one. I mean, I think it all depends on Fitzgerald and if he can pull him, like Ben was saying. But being a Texas legacy, your father going to Texas getting the last OV, it's great right now coming off the visit, but a week from now things could change. So I'm kind of waiting until after the Texas visit to really see what his cards are.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah, the big thing with Finley is, like we say, he's a Texas. He's got to be a legacy there, and we aren't really gonna hear that much about it until he actually goes through and does his visit. And July
Yeah.
4th, his scheduled commitment. So of course, and you know, depending on how the Texas visit goes, maybe we'll know. Like maybe he doesn't like Texas. Maybe we get a Mike Singer article Monday morning after the visit saying, "Oh, like he didn't like Texas," or we're hearing that Texas didn't really blow him out of the water, or maybe we get an article saying like Texas seems like they got it, like they make great connections. That's one thing. Texas is always a team that makes great connections with young wide receivers when it comes to recruits and players. So we'll see how that goes. I think and like I said, and like Sean said, it's all about if we can get Fitzgerald in my mind, or it's a good amount if we can get Fitzgerald, and if we can get both of them, then that's a big thing coming for our class. That's we get two best wide receivers that we're looking at, pure wide receivers that we're looking at there.
I mean, NFL legacies. I mean,
Yeah.
under Freeman, it's just every single year, I feel like we get someone that's the son of an NFL future Hall of Famer or talent. Like it's insane. It's insane. It's the new normal. Also makes me feel old. But
Yeah. With Kaydon, right? I mean, to me, I think he plays a lot like Greathouse, but obviously he's bigger. I believe he's what, like 6'2"? He's got the route running capability of Greathouse, the hands of same elite level hands as Fitzgerald does. If you can get Kaydon, and I know when he was on his visit, Greathouse was Greathouse wasn't. I believe it was Greathouse. Greathouse and KK Smith were his host for his official visit. If there's a kid that could explain, being from that Texas area, having Texas be like the last school you see before you commit, it would be Greathouse. I just think if you're Mike Brown, there's a lot of people in the fan base right now that Mike Brown does not have a secure job right now. And I think you have to. This is a kid that you have to get any means necessary.
I mean, I don't
I don't think
disagree
this is
or
going to
agree.
save Mike Brown's job, getting these kids. I think it's got to be the production on the field.
I think he just needs to land at least one of them.
Yeah.
But I think that the production on the field is the main thing. I think that he hasn't really had a chance to show the development of his receivers except for late run with Greathouse. Now being in an offense, now with Carr, this is really going to be or Minchie, but Carr. We're going to really see if these receivers have taken the next step and whether or not he should keep his job, right? If we get a 1,000-yard receiver, yeah, you're safe. That's my thing. We haven't had one so long. I just think for his job to be safe, he needs to land one of these guys. It's recruiting. Then you'll get another 3 or 4-star with him. If you get Fitzgerald, you don't land the other, and then you'll be fine.
You just can't have what happened last year. That's what I mean. Like, you can't. Last year, you missed out on your top 3 targets, all of whom you led for at one point or another.
Yeah.
The Meadows one, by far, hurt the most. You can't have that happen again and still keep your job. But yeah. So now that we're looking at this picture, the NFLU cursed photo that people have called it because of the same photo we had last year. Thomas Davis Jr. There was some worry that he might flip because Notre Dame, anytime they've had a kid committed that takes an OV to an SEC school, it doesn't end well. How do we feel? Do we feel he sticks, or are you still concerned a little bit?
I think he sticks. I don't have anything. He went to Georgia. I mean, he visited Georgia. So, I mean, Georgia's a heavy pool, but I feel like we would know by now if he was really starting to get the vibes to flip. That photo, how the weekend went, I feel like he's solid. I don't see him flipping.
Ben?
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance he flips. It's just it would take something extreme. There was nothing that came out after his weekend at Georgia. There's it's just and people compare it to the Deuce Knight thing. Deuce Knight would have had to compete. I don't want to take a strike at Deuce Knight's character, but it makes more sense for Deuce Knight to go to a school like Auburn, where there's not 2 quarterbacks in front of him who have a lot of eligibility left, and go compete for a spot there, compared to coming to Notre Dame, where he'd have to compete against second-year CJ Carr, second-year Kenny Minchie, and compete there if he wants to start. And realistically, I could see that. That's completely fine. He wants to do it. It's not that bad about it. Even though Fravel tried to tell everyone in the group chat that Deuce Knight was transferring to Notre Dame.
Yeah. we were
I mean, let's not discredit the linebacker room. That's arguably deeper than the quarterback room.
Yeah. It is deeper, but that's a position where you could have more opportunities to make plays.
Yeah.
It's not like quarterback where you're switching your quarterback every single drive.
I think he replaces Snead when Snead leaves after this year, or potentially Bowen, depending how good of a season he has for the draft. I could see him getting a lot of playing time next year.
Yeah. But you could put Davis in on some packages, things like that. He could get a lot of snaps just in packages alone. Deuce Knight was going to have to win a starting spot that probably does not change.
Yes.
So I don't think Deuce Knight was dumb for doing what he did. To be honest with you, I would have done it if I was him, because Auburn.
Wow, you're a fake Notre Dame fan.
Well, no, I'm just saying if I was that kid, I'd do it too. If Auburn's going to offer me $4 million and every SEC broad south of the Mississippi, then I'd do it too. I'll still cheer for Notre Dame. If we play Notre Dame in the Natty, I'm still throwing it to the corners. We're good.
So do we think the Thomas Davis Jr. stuff was what? That's because what I always thought was he knows he wants to go to Notre Dame. I do appreciate that it seems like from everything we've heard that his father is very, even though he's a Georgia legacy, is, hey, this is your decision. You go where you want to go, which to me deserves props because in today's landscape, that's very rare for parents to do that. As we saw with the Nico situation and other situations like that. We think this was just hey, out of respect for my dad, I'm going to take the OV and give, I think that's you, Sean.
I think that's you.
Mm-mm.
Well, it's fixed.
Okay.
Oh, it's Ben.
Is it me?
Is
Yeah.
it you? Might be
mute
coming off the
one sec.
table. There you go. I think it's a situation where it was like, hey, out of respect for my father, the school that did a lot for my family, I'm going to take the OV. Just give it a chance type thing.
Yeah. But he's all Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see Thomas Davis. It would be insane. It would be Peyton Bowen level of flip from the way it's looking. It looks like he's completely Notre Dame.
I mean, Keon Keeley, very early on, looked the most Notre Dame in that draft. I mean, in that recruiting class. And then it just slowly changed, which he hasn't done anything in college, so I'm not upset about it anymore.
Like, realistically, this is going to be a thing that we're going to have to talk about until when they sign, December 12th?
Yeah.
It's going to be because you're going to hear SEC fans talk about because they'll probably take another, unofficial visit to Georgia. Georgia will do something for his dad to get him on campus.
It's the landscape of college football. It's the new – I do think that with the new the way that college football is transforming, something to talk about real quick, I think in terms of NFL, we're going to see less and less 20 to 21-year-olds going into the draft, and we're going to see more and more 23, 24-year-olds staying in college football because of NIL. And that's going to cause, unless you're like an NFL legacy, that's going to cause shorter NFL careers, et cetera. So it's going to be really interesting to see how NIL affects all of that, especially with Notre Dame's NIL, how they will utilize the NIL with either the talent they have on the team and recruiting. So,
So let's move on. We got Brayden Robinson, and then we'll get into the kind of the big three, so to speak. There's a lot of weird stuff coming out about the Brayden Robinson recruitment. Feels like it's pretty much all over the place. To me, from my understanding for the longest time, I thought Brayden Robinson was like the second receiver on the board behind Kaydon. And now it's like people don't want to, or not people, but it's more like people are just kind of forgetting. I know we have Bubba Frazier committed, but to me, Brayden is that elite level speedster that Notre Dame's been looking for a while. I know he's 5'8". That's been a joke, so some people have made. But the amount of different stuff you're hearing, it's like he doesn't have a commitment date till July 20th. He's done with OVs. Why the big gap in commitment date from your last OV?
I mean, do you think we take 4 receivers?
I think we take 5. I think it's such a need.
I don't know. I think 4, and then you take a transfer.
Right? I was going to say, with the way college football is coming out, there's always an opportunity to go get a guy you need in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, we already got Bubba. I think we get Fitz, and then let's just say we get Finley. And I mean, we're not going to land all 3 of Fitz, Finley. It's just there's going to be one that we don't get or gets left behind. But yeah, I mean, I think people are forgetting about this recruitment more. You mentioned size, speed, but I think because the Fitzgerald name and the Finley name, and everyone's so focused on father, NFL, that this is kind of getting forgotten. I don't know if y'all agree, but.
And maybe it's just me, but I think with the deficiencies in the receiver room, you got to take 5.
I don't think deficiencies, though. Micah Gilbert, you got Cam Williams, you got guys.
You got to think this year, you lose Pauling after this season. You lose Fields after this season. If Greathouse has the year that a lot of people think
he'll be gone,
he could be gone. Are you wanting to then lean on a room of Jordan Faison?
Yeah.
Micah Gilbert, Cam Williams. The only one in that room that would have played is Jordan Faison.
What about your favorite wide receiver?
if we look at this past year, we kind of did that. We like Jordan Faison, Bo Collins, and then Grayhouse at the end of the year. But Jordan Faison could be the leading receiver on a good team. It's just one of those things where he's not going to be better than Grayhouse and Fields. But yeah,
I love Grayhouse. I mean, Faison. But I mean, you say that, but then what about the guys that are coming in? Fitzgerald can then play right away and have 3 years to play. Like, it just really depends on the situation. You don't want to rely on freshmen coming in, but if one steps up and has a Jeremiah Love type season or a KVA type season, then you're got a starter for 3 years. Yeah, I'll take that over a 1-year transfer.
Where are we at with Cam? Is he not playing well in practices?
He's a lot better than he was his freshman year. The problem with him has been drops, reportedly. So he can get open. It's just
like every good wide receiver, they drop every single ball that's thrown at them. That's the problem.
Micah Gilbert's looked better.
Yes, consistently, yeah.
So we'll see how that. I think he'll.
For me, I'm a big Brayden Robinson fan, just because I don't think Notre Dame has that type of speed.
There's a slot receiver that you love that you haven't mentioned, that you interviewed.
Oh. Logan Saldate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Logan.
But no, with Brayden, I for some reason this feels like one that we're not. I feel like we can't. How do I put this? We can get them. We can get all the receivers we want. We're in a decent area to be able to get all of them. It seems like I'm reading a lot about how Miami's very heavily involved in it, and I could definitely see him because Miami's receiving room this year. Or recruiting class this year isn't that good. I don't think it is.
The receiver-wise, no.
Yeah, so and
they
of
might
course,
get Tristan Keys, but that's it.
Yeah, that's something you have to look at every single time with these guys. A lot of them want to play early. A lot of them just want to get. Yeah, they currently don't have a single receiver committed as of right now.
Are you gonna put a golden brick in it all right now, Ben?
The him to Miami?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, here's my thing, right? And watching his film, I get the size because he's 5'8". And to me, I think this comes down to, I think Brayden wants to be at Notre Dame. The problem is his commitment date is so far that Notre Dame will probably be filled up by then.
At least with 4.
Yeah, and so I just think that I don't know what the significance is of the July 20th date. Some of these kids do it for their birthday. Some of these kids do it for a parent's birthday. Some of them do it for a relative that passed away. I don't know. But to me, I feel like if he knows he wants to be at Notre Dame, you're done with OVs. Why not just pull the trigger?
Well, I mean, it's like a Deuce Knight when he committed so early because he knew Bear was likely going to take his spot, and he took it before Bear could commit. I mean, that's another situation why maybe it's not Notre Dame. Maybe he doesn't know yet, and he just has that set commitment date.
Yeah.
I think that it depends. If we land Finley, we won't get him. If we land Finley, we do get him, kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Now let's get into the big 3. The first one we'll talk about is Khary Adams. The one that, for me, I've always thought Notre Dame's been a player for him, but not necessarily. Like, I never really ever thought that we would get him, let alone have the opportunity to get him and Joey O'Brien together. But how do you guys feel about how this is trending?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not like I think you're more confident than I am. I'm still a little weary. I don't know.
Ben?
Big thing with Adams is, of course, Penn State seems like they're in the lead by most 247 sports predictions. Seems like Penn State's in the lead for a lot of it. at the end of the day, like he's a guy we really want. He's a guy who's going to do a lot for us. It's one of those things where we talk about like, oh, imagine if we gave Mickens, like we talked about, imagine if we gave Mickens a top 5-star corner. He's not
Yeah.
5-star, but he's ranked 36th in the nation, so he's decently close to it. So it's one of those guys, great talent. If we get him, that's a great thing, but I don't think it's detrimental to our whole recruiting class if we don't get him. We're getting a lot of great defensive guys, and there's other guys who can make up for it as well.
Mike Mickens can make Ryan into a All-Pro.
Yeah, he probably could. He could turn Ben into the next Sauce Gardner.
Bro, dude, they made like Xavier Watts came in as a freaking wide receiver, and he somehow was able to become a top safety. We had Benjamin Morrison.
I think the biggest thing is you see like Ben Morrison freshman, Leonard Moore freshman, Christian Gray was always a solid recruit. We haven't had any Cam Hart. He made Cam Hart, who was not a corner to begin his career, into a solid NFL corner.
Yeah, I kind of want to get everybody's thoughts. Like, do you guys think we land him or not? Because I'm in the boat of, from what I've heard, especially after the OV weekend, Kari and O'Brien are very close. Kari's decision is heavily more weighed by what JOB does than it is what JOB's decision is based off of what Kari does. So, obviously, O'Brien's commitment is Friday. If that's true and they want to play together, do you think that's enough for Kari to say, all right, well, if Joey's going there, I'm playing with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if that happens, it's a coin flip realistically. But if that happens, I think we do get both. I
think we land one or we land none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think we land both or we land none.
Yeah, it's a package deal. Well, realistically, you look at who you're both looking at. Like, they basically have the same exact top three. Yeah. It's Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State. Well, I guess O'Brien, he has
Clemson in there too, but
Clemson. But Adams, it's Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State. So, like, it feels like they're both pretty similar. But sometimes there's also kids who don't want to play with guys they played with in high school for certain reasons, or maybe they just don't agree. But I don't see it in the situation. It would be crazy if that was the case.
Run through this real quick. So, Grayson McKeogh, obviously the teammate of Joey O'Brien from LaSalle College in Pennsylvania. There's some stuff that's been put out that I can't say on here, obviously. But it's looking really good for Notre Dame in this one. Thoughts on Grayson? Thoughts on his recruitment? What do you guys thought? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we land him. I think that once we land him, our offensive line class is pretty much complete, and I think that he could be. You remember like Emil Wagner was a surprise because no one thought he would commit to Notre Dame during the commitment, but I think it could be like a late surprise out of nowhere. Like, oh, wow, I didn't think this guy 2 weeks ago was going to end up at Notre Dame, right? So I think it could be something on that aspect, and then Emil Wagner comes in as a junior and as a starter. So I think it's a very similar situation for me on that aspect. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think this is a lock. If we lose them, then I say all Texas fans in Penn State. If we lose in Texas or Penn State, go to the casino, put 100 on green, and just let it ride. Like, I don't see a way. I don't know. We've seen some stuff, but I just don't. He looks too much like a Notre Dame guy. 6'7", offensive tackle. We breed those kids. Like, you can't look at Joe Alt. Like, you can't see how Joe Alt is in the NFL and be like, I don't want to go Notre Dame. They don't produce. Like Joe Alt, Quentin Nelson. I think this kid's going to make a smart decision and go Notre Dame. And I heard he had an amazing visit. I heard he connected very well with the other recruits.
Well, you know what's crazy about it is he just started playing tackle recently.
Yeah,
he's an out-of-position guy. He was a D tackle or like a D end. And to me, if you're like an out-of-position guy if you're a guy like Grayson that's 6'7", but you're athletic enough to play D end, rush quarterbacks, like he's chasing down quarterbacks in some of his highlights, and you can play offensive lineman, you just need to get the body mass right, work on your technique. How does that not correlate to Joe Alt? Joe Alt was a freaking tight end who was skinny as all get out when he first got to campus.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I don't think he plays right away. He just doesn't have tackle experience yet. Only reason Joe Alt did was because there was 2 other injuries before him, and he was able to come in right away. So I do think it's similar on that aspect. But
is it crazy to say that, like, I think he's got 5-star tackle potential? It just so happens that he didn't start playing tackle till this past season. Like,
yeah,
I
I
think
think next year's class he'd be a 5-star.
Yeah, probably. Well, the big thing is with tackles is they have to be, it's early on type of things. It's not something that you can just, like, for example, like we all hear the Michael Orr story. He played his senior year and he got recruited. That's not real. Like, you have to
It's real
play
to
a
me.
decent, you have to play a decent amount, and it's a lot of when they come out with the rankings, they have to it's got to be what they see, and yeah. Maybe he gets up to a 4. Is he a 4-star right now or a 3-star?
he's a 4-star, yeah.
Is he a 4-star? I think he'll stay at 4-star this year. I don't see him moving up to a 5-star.
Oh no. If he was next year, if it was next year's class,
if he was a 2027 kid, definitely he could be 100%, 100%, because that's repetition.
What is he, like 180 right now? 200?
He's 264 nationally on.
Yeah, I think he finishes like 180.
Yeah.
Let me check his weight real quick.
For offensive tackles, he's 31st.
He is
247.
And his weight right now. So his weight right now, he's 6'7", 280. So he's got to get his weight up. He's got to put some more muscle mass on.
Yeah, I remember seeing his photo, and I was like, he's an offensive lineman?
Yeah.
Man, dude, we're the same weight, but he's 6'7". I'm 6 foot. The fuck? God, why couldn't you give me that height? I could be playing tackle at Notre Dame.
All right, let's get into the final guy. Obviously, the biggest one. Teammates with Grayson, the 5-star Joey O'Brien. Notre Dame's been burned so many damn times with 5-stars that they lead for, evidently. I don't know how to feel. It feels like it's Notre Dame, Oregon, Penn State. Clemson's kind of hanging on by a thread. How do you guys see this playing out?
Boom, Notre Dame lands a 5-star talent.
Ben?
I mean, I think Notre Dame lands him. What do you think, Ben?
I think this kid is going to be one of the best corners we're going to see in college football someday. And I think Notre Dame knows it. And I think they know that with Mickens at the helm, assuming he stays, coaching him up, I think they know that he could be possibly like the best corner that we have in college football. If we play him at corner, he might be a safety. Is that what I'm hearing too?
Yeah, he'll be safety.
But so best backfield. Jesus Christ, I can't talk.
Best defensive back.
Defensive back. Best defensive back college football has. He looks really good.
He plays as a freshman. Like he'll rotate in like KVA.
I hope. I'm also seeing why he wants to play both sides of the ball, which I'm someone. Sean, you're gonna learn a lot. Ryan hears me bitch about it all the time in the Twitter spaces.
Yeah.
I am not a type of person that likes the guys who want to play on both sides of the ball from day one. I'm okay with them earning it, but I'm hearing that he is making it a part of his recruitment, which if we get him, that's fine. I just don't like that type of stuff because I think that every player should have to earn every position. 3 stars can be 5 stars any day of the week. Just matters where they play. So I think this is a guy who we're going to get. I also think this is a guy who we might, if we even don't get him, I think there's a chance we could flip him later on. I still think this is a guy we're not going to know until December where he actually goes.
I've heard that Notre Dame's open to letting him play both sides, but I think that's more of a, hey, we'll let you, but when you get to campus and you're kind of like Jadon Blair, when Jadon Blair got to campus and everybody's like, man, this guy's so tall, so talented. They let him try out at receiver. Like, yeah, after like a day or two, edge it on, stay in the safety. I think that's kind of what it is. But I do think O'Brien, you see his receiver highlights for what Notre Dame has had at the receiver position. I'm just saying.
You need to perfect being good at one position before you can think about something else.
That's the thing.
He could be a Travis Hunter. We don't know. Like, legitimately. Like, Travis Hunter was doing it at the high school level. He did it at the HBCU level. People are like, you're not going to be able to do that at a D1 level. He did it at a D1 level. Now, was he elite at either receiver or corner? No. He was really good.
Here's the problem with being a receiver or corner. You're not getting the breaks. So I think that's got to be another thing come day one that that's gonna be talked about. No matter where he goes, if he goes to Oregon, Penn State, Clemson, or Notre Dame, it's got to be talked about day one. Are you going to be able to go out there and play every single snap? Are you going to be able, like, what did Travis Hunter get this year? It was like over 1,000 snaps total.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be? It wasn't 1,000, but I don't
was, yeah.
even remember. It was a lot.
It was
Are you going to be able to do that?
Playoffs compared to Colorado.
Yeah, that too. He's going to have to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you perfect one position before you.
Well, I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
because Notre Dame's DB room, right? It's already stacked. So there's no guarantee that he's going to, like, he's going to play. But there's no guarantee that he's going to, like, you can't rotate him, right?
Well, so he's going to be a freshman. Who's going out the year he comes in as a freshman?
Don Schuler's probably gone after this year at the strong safety position.
Yeah.
Stroman's gone. Who else is gone?
That's it.
There's room for there. He could definitely compete for a spot. Or just playing time at least. Like, so
it would have to be at the free safety position or the strong safety, because from everything we're hearing, Luke Talich and Blair have got that free safety spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so do you think he can play strong safety with the size? Like, I think for a strong safety.
He's coming out 185 right now?
Yeah.
He can add on 15 pounds once he gets here.
Well,
100%.
Who's to say that he can't come in and, Xavier Watts, whenever, he would come down and play a little nickel, or he would play a little, he'd rush a little. Who's to say he can't be that gadget? Sneed needs a linebacker, obviously, but use him in certain situations like a Sneed or like a Maurice Leafau or something that he can't play all over. Or who was that player that was with Clemson that played every position?
Isaiah
Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons.
You say he can't be a gadget.
We can get him in on defense day one. The offensive side of the ball, 50-50, I could definitely see him getting opportunities because, he's fast. He's tall and he's fast. There's no reason not to play him if he wants to play there.
And
we have the opportunities for it.
He's damn near, what is he listed at, 6'4"? There's no way he's not, closer to, 6'6", 6'5".
Maybe 6'5". Maybe 6'5".
Penn State, dude,
listed at 6'3". Oh my!
Penn State,
7 foot.
No, let me break this real quick.
Yo, put him on the court. Put him on the basketball court. We need rebounds.
Penn State. Think about this. Penn State is wanting him to play tight end.
Well, yeah, because Penn State wanted Tyler Warren to play linebacker when they got him. They're psychotic. What's happening?
Oh God. Oh, did we lose Sean for a second? You there? Sean?
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. Your thing blacked out.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
Frabel probably messed up something. That's usually how it goes. That's trade school for nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's get to the final topic.
Yeah.
So, one player on each side of the ball. It cannot be somebody that was a starter last year.
Shit.
Start the season.
I love.
One breakout player from offense, defense did not start last year.